Okay, so this is something a little bit new for me. I'm actually going to read this book to you because I think we've been off school for quite a while now. I guess your parents have been with you. I guess you may have been reading yourself, but it's nice to actually someone else to read to you. I'm going to read to the dog because she's here and she loves stories about the Stone Age. So I'm really doing it for her, but actually, as I'm doing it for her, you may as well hear as well. So I've got this book. You can pop her down so she can hear better, and it's called The Boy with the Bronze Axe. And so it's based around our topic, which is the Stone Age. So I'm going to read you the blurb, which is on the back, that describes what it's about. And then I'll see how many pages I can do per day. I've done a bit of maths. So then we can read through and enjoy the book together and maybe do a bit of work on it later. So it says at the back, explore the mysteries of the Stone Age. Carly and Brocken are trapped by the tides when a mysterious rescuer appears. A strange boy in a strange boat, carrying a strangely sharp axe. The repetition there, the word strangely. The people of Skara Brae must decide what to do with this boy's new ideas and strange ways. Because a deadly storm brews, the whole village is plunged into danger. The ancient stone village of Skara Brae comes alive in this vivid portrayal of life nearly 3,000 years ago. So it is a fiction book based on the Stone Age when there is great danger. And there are about 150 pages in here. I think we have about 35 days left. So hopefully that's about 5 pages a day. So I can do that and you can watch all of them. Imagine that, watching me every day for 5 pages, then hopefully we'll get the whole book done. So let's start. 1. The Boy from the Sea. Callie sat up in her stone bed, filled with heather, and thrust aside the sheepskin robe which covered her. She listened. From the Bay of Scale she heard the complaining sharp cries of seagulls. A peewit answered plaintively from the moors to the south, while the loch of Scale there came the honking of swans. Callie knew all these sounds, that the dawn must be reddening in the eastern sky. Her mother still slept in the stone bedplace on the other side of the hearth. Stempsy always slept longer when Berno, her husband, was away quarrying for stone for the building of the great ring of Brodgar. Callie's 6-year-old brother stirred in the other bedplace. In an instant, he was wide awake, like a small animal of the wild. Callie, Callie, I can hear the swans. Is it time we were going? He whispered. I shouted, sorry. Callie hesitated. You told me you would take me to the island today, if the sun shone, Brocken reminded her. You will see first if there's no mist, Callie told him. Do not wake Mother. I definitely would have wakened Mother there, wouldn't I? She girdled her sheepskin robe about her with a leather thong. She picked up a bag, also made of sheepskin, and dropped 2 flint scrapers in the midst of it. What it is, she's in scrapers. The fire was still smouldering in the hearth in the centre of the dwelling. Was that how they get their heat or cook? Callie carefully placed a couple of peats in the glowing heart of it. That would take care of the fire till her mother woke. The 2 children tiptoed to the narrow entrance, and Callie stooped under the stone doorway to the passage beyond. The entrance to the passage was closed by a slab of stone, held in place by a stone bar, fixed into holes on each side of the wall. Brocken helped her to lift the bar out and to haul the thin slab aside. Quietly, they crept along the paved passage, which curved round their stone house till they reached the gap in the wall, which led upwards and outwards to the daylight. They stood on the sand dune that lay about the house, almost level with the beehive-like roofs of the stone village of Skara. The sun was rising, a half circle of fire above the horizon. The 2 children faced about to the west, where the sea moved placidly, so gently. The tide was very low, and a large stretch of sand was uncovered around the Bay of Scale. Look, Callie, it's just right for us to go. Brocken pointed to the sand in the south, where there rose a group of rocky islets. Still, Callie hesitated. When Father took me to the rock that is furthest in the sea, he told me I was never to go there alone. It is uncovered only when the tide is very low. If we wait for Father to come back from hauling the new stone to the ring of Brodgar, then the tide will not be low any longer. You promised You take me to find the large limpets, Callie, Brocken urged her. You know we can only wade out to the large rocks when the tide's low. It was 2 years since Berno had taken Callie to the small island. She still remembered the feast of limpets they had that night, and the large crabs that her father had found in the rock crevices. After all, she'd been 2 years younger then. Now she was 13 years old and well grown. She hesitated no longer. Very well, we'll go. You must wash your feet over the slippery seaweed, she warned Brocken. They scampered across the dunes and the wide sandy shore till they came to the chain of rocks stretching out to sea from the south side of the bay. Callie lifted up her sheepskin tunic above the leather girdle. Brocken hitched his tunic up too. Between the islets the sea lapped gently. The tide was very low. It was a neap tide. Now we must wade, Callie said, and clutched her bag even more tightly under her arm. It was drawn together by a plaited cord of grass threaded through holes. The children plunged and splashed their way through pools and over the rocks. Once Callie's foot slipped and she almost fell into the channel below. I shall have to step carefully when I come back with a heavy bag of limpets, she told Brocken. At last they reached the island furthest out into the sea. It was little more than a large rock. The limpets clung all round it just below the fringe of green seaweed that marked the level of high tide. Callie handed Brocken a sharp flint with a razor-like edge. Come now, work quickly. As soon as the tide rises, we shall have to go. You spoke truth, Callie. The limpets here are much bigger than those on the shore rocks, Brocken said with satisfaction. The children chipped away with the flint knives. They had to get the edge of the knife under the limpet shell and prise it upwards. Their hands grew sore as they worked, but their bag grew heavier. We shall have a feast for my father when he comes back, Callie said happily. A few miles from the stone houses of Skara, a great stone ring was being built for a temple. Berno had gone to shape the enormous stone the men of Orkney had hewn from the quarries. They cut it from the quarries. The tribesmen had only stone and flint axes with which to work. Already men had grown old and died in the labour of hewing and hauling the stones to the ring of Brodgar. Berno was a clever man at working in stone, and he supervised the labour. Brocken, there are great crabs in the pools here, Callie told her brother. Down near the gully is the best place to get them. They climbed down the gully to the pools left by the tide. A big crab scuttled under a shelf of rock. I'll soon have you out of there, Brocken cried with delight. He parted the trailers of seaweed. The crab cowered beneath a pebble, and waved his claws menacingly. Callie felt at the bottom of her bag for a small stone axe her father had hewn and polished for Brocken. It was fitted into a handle of antler horn and bound with strips of sheepskin. Every boy of the village carried a stone axe as soon as he was able to use one. She handed it to Brocken. Then she snatched a pebble from above the crab. Brocken brought the axe down smartly before the crab could scuttle away. Callie caught hold of it by the shell and tossed it into the bag with the limpets. Mother will boil him in the pot tonight, she laughed gaily. A small flatfish tried to bury itself at the bottom of the pool, but Brocken stunned it with a quick blow of the axe. It too joined the crab and the limpets. The children were so delighted they went on searching, clambering up and down amongst the rocks. They caught 2 more crabs and a small eel. She put a limpet down at the entrance to the crevice. Both children watched as she snatched it, pounced, and caught it. Here are some great big limpets, Brocken pointed to a nearby rock. They began chipping away again with their flint knives. They were so absorbed they lost all track of time. A splash in a pool made Callie jump around smartly. The water was rising fast. Already the flow of the stream had been driven backwards into a whirlpool by the rising tide. Between them and the shores, the waters were lapping and foaming over the rocks. The tide has come up, Callie shouted in horror. Oh, what shall we do? Brocken said, looking frightened. It's too deep to wade. There's a channel between us and the shore. We'll have to swim for it, Brocken. She looked doubtfully at him. At 6 years old, he was not a very strong swimmer. I don't think I can do it, Callie. The waves would batter me against the rocks. You go and leave me here, Brocken stammered. No, I'll not leave you. I brought you here. I should have remembered what my father told me and not disobeyed. It's my fault. Oh, what shall we do? Callie cried in desperation. They looked around about them. Already the sea was churning and foaming between them and the land. "We'll climb to the top of the rock and shout. Perhaps someone at Skara will hear us," Callie said. But there was little hope in her heart. The rising wind would drown their shouting, and no one at the stone village knew where they were. Even in her fear, Callie did not forget to put the flint knives and stone axe in a bag. She hauled it up onto the rock. Then she and Brocken shouted until their lungs were fit to burst. No one answered. The blue peat smoke curled lazily from the holes in the beehive-shaped roofs of Skara. The wind carried away their shouts, and the roar of the tide drowned out their voices. Panic-stricken, they clung to each other as the tide rose higher and higher. A large wave curled slowly over the flat-topped rock and lapped at their feet. Soon it would be impossible to hold on. The water rose to their ankles. They could hardly keep their balance. Brocken began to sob. Callie held him close to her. How long would it be before the waves overwhelmed them? She turned her face from the land and looked towards the sea. Below them, a small creek made a tiny harbour on the seaward side. "If only my father was at Skara, he would come out with his boat," she wept. "You could still swim to land, Callie," Brocken told her. "One of us might be saved then." "No, we'll stay here together." They felt the cold water rise above their legs. "Shout again, let's try again," Callie cried desperately. Again they faced the land. "Help, help," they shouted at the top of their voices. But the wind made mockery of their cries. "Help, come and save us," Callie gave one last despairing cry. To her surprise, there was an answering hail, but it came to them from the sea. They sprang around, and we're going to leave them there, Callie and Brocken, trapped and hopefully about to be rescued, but we will see who rescues them. I'll see you next time.